Okay, so this is the video for part 3, number 7 of your test. Right, so this is just like the last video, so we're going to be solving, or we're going to be graphing inequalities, but this time we have to solve for y. This is going to be extremely important to use Desmos. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Desmos. I want you to graph y plus 4 is greater than or equal to x plus 9. Type that whole equation into Desmos. Okay? So I'm going to type y plus 4 is greater than or equal to x plus 9. That's ultimately, right here, what your graph is going to look like. Okay? So I want you to leave that there for now. Leave it there for now. Let's go back to our paper. I need to solve that for y. So in order to solve that for y, I need to get y by itself. And I'm going to do that by subtracting the 4. Now when I subtract the 4, I'm just going to tag it on the end right here. And I get y is greater than or equal. Now the x doesn't change. That 4 doesn't have an x on it. But the 9 minus 4 does change. That becomes a 5. Now that's the equation. Y is greater than or equal to x plus 5. Now before I graph it here, I want to go back to Desmos and check and see if that's the same equation that I started with originally. So in a new box, I want you to type y is greater than or equal to x plus 5. See how that line graphs right on top of the original. What that means is I solved it correctly. So that's the one. I'm going to use this one because it's a little easier to see. That's the one that I'm going to use. I know I did it right. So when I graph it here, I need to know my y-intercept. I don't have blanks for it. In part 3, you should be able to graph this without me asking you for blanks for slope and y-intercept. The y-intercept here is 5, so I start at positive 5. Again, I can check on Desmos. If I click on the y-intercept, that's at 5. My slope, well, there's a little invisible 1 right here in front of the x. So my slope is 1. So that means on my graph, I'm going to go up 1, right 1, over and over again. All right, now, my symbol is y is greater than or equal, because there's a line underneath that symbol. It means I'm going to use a solid line, which is what I have here on Desmos. So I'm going to connect those with a solid line. Oops, that didn't look very good. And then greater than means I shade above, which is what my picture looks like. Now is negative 3, positive 4, which is right here in the solution set. It is on my graph, but if you're not sure where to plot negative 3, 4, graph it on Desmos. You can see that red dot is in the solution set. Okay? Use Desmos to check every step of the way. All right, B, to start, again, I'm going to graph my original. Negative 2y is greater than 4x minus 6. All right, that's what my graph's going to look like. Now, what I have to do is solve my equation. So I'm going to start. I need to get y by itself. I'm going to divide by negative 2. I'm going to divide every term. Now, when I solve an inequality and divide by a negative, this symbol has to flip its sign. So that's 4 divided by negative 2, which is negative 2x. Use your calculator. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive 3. Now, if you're not sure if you did that right, you're going to graph it again, just like the last time in Desmos. Y is less than negative 2x plus 3. And I get the same thing. Now, what if you had messed up? What if you didn't flip your sign? Well, then you would be able to see that you have the right slope and y-intercept, but you're shading in the wrong spot. So Desmos, you can look at that and say, oh, I'm shading in the wrong spot. I should probably flip my sign to go there. Okay? So let's find our y-intercept. Well, from Desmos is 0, 3. And if I'm going to graph this, that's the number that's by itself. My slope is negative 2. That's the number in front of x. So I'm going to go down to right 1. Okay? So as you're graphing this, if you went the wrong way with your slope, you would be able to tell because your line would not look like Desmos. All right, now I need the symbol is less than with no line underneath. So I'm going to use a dotted line just like what's here. It's a little easier to see here. on Desmos. So it's a dotted line. So I connect those with a dotted line. And less than means shading below, which I have on Desmos. Now they want to know, is the point 0, 2? Right there. Is that in the solution set? It's kind of hard to tell on my picture, so let's check on Desmos. 0, 2. I can see that dot is inside the shaded region, so yes, it is a solution. All right, you are ready to go back to your review. You're going to do part 3, numbers 3 through 7, and then there's just one more video for this test group.